Hello and welcome to Quantum Leaders CEO Insights, where we take the living organization perspective to look at organization as a living being. And today we're going to look at an interesting topic. How do we deal with difficult people? Very often you have either your executive team or even board members who are creating a lot of problems in organization. Now, these are maybe very brilliant people, but at the same time, they're creating disharmony in organization. So how do we deal with such situations? And in my executive career and as an executive coach, I had a lot of instances of this because people are in some respect very different and have very different views of the world, and some deal with conflict in a very different way than others. So let's look at different types of difficult people. Probably the more common one in the executive team is people who are brilliant in many ways, perfectionists, but also have a very directive or more of a dictator style in terms of how they manage others. Not only manage their subordinates, but also how they deal with their colleagues. So they are the know-it-alls. They do have a lot of knowledge. Typically, they've been there for a while. The only problem, of course, it's not so much that it's not the lack of knowledge. Obviously, they are very knowledgeable in their subject, but how they approach dealing with others. They very often assume that they're the mastermind, they're the strategic thinkers, and then everybody else should go and execute what they say. And if it doesn't go their way, they get very, very cross with you. There's very little flexibility in terms of how they, when people object to their particular ideas, they don't have much flexibility. It's more of a command the general approach. And, in some instances, where there is a crisis, this is very appropriate, this leadership style. On the other hand, in many instances, it is not appropriate. So how do we support these people to shift from this kind of a dictator style to a more collaborative style, more coaching style, more flexibility and adaptability, supporting others to come up with their ideas as well, and then finding the middle ground between the two. So that is one instance. Of course, there are many others. There is the know-it-all engineers, scientists who have a lot of information in their head and just assume that because of their knowledge that they will dominate the situation. So then there are the passive aggressive, what I call, and these are people who are very nice to you, and then later on you find that they actually hold quite a different view to you, but they will not speak to you, and then so they go they usually hide their feelings and then create sabotage situations and all sorts of political maneuvers, and you find that later, and that's really destructive as well. In fact, at least with a dictator or know-it-all, they are very upfront, and so you can see upfront what's happening. These people are very hidden and in some respect more dangerous to the organization, because they create political disharmonies and create a lot of problems in the organization. And then there is the yes people. Everything is a yes, a yes, a yes. But in reality, it's either a maybe at the very best. So their yes is a maybe or a no, right? And then, of course, there's obviously the no people who basically it's a no to everything. And so highly critical, highly skeptical, and it's really difficult to persuade them. Typically, they're, I apologize, but a lot of finance and accounting departments people, because it is their job to say no to a lot of things, there are a lot of expenditures. But then everything becomes about no, and it's really difficult to guide organization when there is such a negative such a conservative mindset to any innovations or any processes. And then and then there's the grievous. Okay, so there is all sorts of personalities. Let me just briefly say that the first thing we do in the living organization system is we acknowledge that each one of these personalities have their own reasons for being who they are, right? So first of all, we shouldn't just invalidate them and criticize them for how they're being, because there is a rationale from their point of view, from their perspective, from their worldview, right? They're doing a job. Sometimes it's a job of a boss. I'm the responsible one, and I will take it on myself to take the responsibility, and there is a valid point to that. Other times is, I am the knowledgeable one. I spent a lot of time researching, understanding, and that's also has a valid point of view. The only thing, of course, is there are collective knowledge, and so sometimes one person cannot see every point of view, and so that becomes a problem when one person thinks they know it all. Same things here. A dictative approach disempowers other people to lead, because if you continuously boss people around, they become children who are just going to not take any responsibility. Why should they, when the boss takes all responsibility upon them? And now you have a problem where you have basically people who are not taking leadership, and that creates a whole dynamics in organization. The yes and the passive people, again, there are a lot of cultures and organizations that are very nice to each other, but incredibly not nice underneath. So this politeness is hidden with a lot of vengeance and a lot of jealousies and a lot of hidden agendas. So again, that's a dysfunctional behavior. Yes, we want to acknowledge for the part that they are polite, and that is a good thing in organization. We do want to be polite to one another, but we want to be open as well, right? And so the first thing we do acknowledge them for who they are. And in a lot of my situations, I actually even say to people, I do acknowledge for you for your knowledge, or for your ability to take responsibility and take it on yourself, or for you being really polite and really be considerate to other people. So, or even the naysayers or the no-sayers, I get it that you're the guardian of the finance. And a lot of the times it is important for you to say no, because if you said yes to everything, the company would be in big financial troubles, right? So we need to acknowledge those people for who they are. Secondly, we need to step into our heart. As if I'm supporting those people, I'll literally drop myself into the heart and acknowledge them for the human being that they are. They're just trying to do their best. And I actually tell them that as well. I totally understand that you're trying to do your best in the position, in the role that you are. And it is absolutely no problem from that point of view. And then I switch into like something around, but you realize that your best at the moment is also creating some problems in organizations. If you're a dictative type, do you realize that people are not receiving that well, and the organization may be moving towards more collaborative style of management, and you are pretty much working in only one style? Not that it's wrong, but that it's not matching the organizational values. And it's exactly the conversation I had with an executive a while back, and I asked him to have a think about what choices he wants to make. And this is the big transition: is that everybody in organization, in a living organization, are free to make a choice of how they behave and what consequences come from that. So I present them with choices and say, listen, obviously now that you kind of became conscious that your style will not match the organization, for example, let's say if you're creating a much more collaborative organization, what do you want to do about it? What is it? What are some of the choices? And I go and I present them with some choices. One is you can learn how to become more collaborative and painfully let go of some of your habits. Two, you can work in a position that is not so senior, so you don't affect the rest of the organization as much. Maybe a more technical role. That often means a demotion. Three, you could go and find yourself an organization where your style is absolutely perfect for them, right? But you realize one of these choices have to be made. And very often people do make a choice. In this case, for example, one of these executives have a long think about it, and he felt safe with me. And he did decide to step down and leave the organization, got a fantastic package. We gave him a great review. In another case, an executive said he was a little younger, and he said, I do realize I have a limited style. I am willing to learn if you can coach me. And we did work with him, and he did shift it quite a bit. It didn't become a collaborator overnight, but he became much more flexible and much more observant of his own behavior. So these are some of the options. I'm happy to speak with you. If you have one of those people, this is one of the things I specialize is dealing with difficult executives or board members. It is sensitive. It's sometimes easier for someone from an outside, from an outside to deal with that than a CEO or in-house person, because you already have an established kind of dynamics, and it's very sensitive. So I'll be happy to speak with you about that and provide you with more information how I go about dealing with difficult people. If you enjoyed this post, please share it, please like it. You can also contact us at quantumleaders.com, or just direct message me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much.